Oh, hi. I have this thing where I've spoken to a lot of people about addictions. We just had a man who was an addict who I grew up with, and he was the sweetest kind of soul when we were young. And a lot of things had happened to him, and I think the massive changing point was when he was in an explosion, and he got thrown across a street and into a building. He wasn't the only one. I believe there were 3 of them that did. Anyway, he became an addict, and he's been an addict and surviving, staying in a homeless shelter. And anyways, I'm not sure what happened with the homeless shelter, but somebody didn't let him in. I guess there was a curfew, which I did work there briefly, and there wasn't a curfew really then. There was, but there wasn't. I guess it depends on who's working. And yeah, so anyway, people thought he froze to death, but apparently he was beaten to death. And I've spoken to some other semi-homeless people, addicts, whatnot, and one is a good friend that I grew up with, and they said that they had checked on him all throughout the night, and the last few hours someone saw the cops with him, and he gave an answer the cops did not like, and they were upset. And the homeless and addictions community, they believe that he was beaten by the police, which I'm in a small rural northern interior of British Columbia, and it's very possible to find it if you Google it. It somewhat was in the news in our small town, but the more people I've spoken to about addictions and homelessness, the more I find a massive flaw. And it's upsetting, and I just wanted to talk about it. There was a security guard today. Now, full disclosure, I had 4 kids. I struggled at the end with them. Obviously, it's a struggle anyway, being a single mom with 4 kids, raising them. However, my parents passed, and my son got cancer, and some of my children tried to commit suicide, and there's a whole lot in between that. So you can imagine, there was a lot. I dealt with a lot, and there's a few years where I fell down, and now I again have just found, I did at one point find work. It was with a company where the lady wasn't that great, and I ended up leaving there. I did receive another job that was my all-time dream. That did not work out because of, let's just say, politics. It is my dream job though. And yeah, so I was around the homeless people a lot then, and a lot hit me. And after that, again, I started living in my truck, and there's been a lot. Now I have a job that says it's part-time, but I'm working full-time and overtime hours, and it's not the best paying job, but the environment, a lot of the people are pretty great people, so that's uplifting. Anyway, the more I've been on that side of everything, and the more struggles I've been through, the more I am seeing a lot of things even better than I used to, and my outlook has kind of been in the same. When you see what I learned growing up was that when I was young, I used to make fun of girls who were promiscuous, and males. And over my lifetime, I have noticed that a majority of these promiscuous people actually have had sexual, so SA, I guess they call it. They've been SA'd, and there are reasons for that, but the more I unraveled with everything else, with how people are and what's going on with them, there are always reasons why. There are always past things, and you have a lot of people, and including today, there was a security guard, and he doesn't look like he's had the easiest time either, but he brought up a bitterness towards addictions. And I brought up this lady that I met actually at that office, outside of it, and like a month or two before, prior to that, today, where she asked for a cigarette, and I gave her a cigarette, and I went inside, and she actually followed like a few minutes later. And she sat with me, and she felt like she owed me an explanation, which she did not. But she said, I never used to be like this. Excuse me. I was a productive citizen. I had a good job. I had a mortgage. I had, you know, car payments. I had a family. I raised kids. And then my child died. And I said, well, I would probably be where you are or non-existent if I lost my child. Now, I had a struggle with one of my sons. He went through cancer, and that was really scary, and I don't know what I would have done. There were several families in town that were impacted, and also their kids having cancer, and a few haven't made it. So I'm so lucky for my son, and when my kids tried to remove themselves from life, luckily enough, that was an inability for them, thank you know who, and I mean, I could be there. And today I spoke to a lady at the bank trying to fix my stuff because I'm finally working. I can make payments. I'm trying to figure out how to do things and get out of the debt from the years of struggle, and then the years where I just couldn't life. Really, I couldn't function. Really, my mind was a mess, and it was kind of like the past decade had broken me. And the more I thought about it, I mean, an easy escape if I had money was to drink or do drugs, and I chose not to, but I stayed on my own, and mentally that was hard. And especially with staying away from people when my children were children, because I was nervous of them encountering bad things, which they did anyway. That was also hard. It took me away from society. I didn't really speak to many people, and when I did, it was the wrong people. So yeah, a lot of mental lows happened, and I can understand where these people struggle. And let me tell you, if that there were points where I really was thinking, if I could just get rid of this pain. There was a lot of the same where I really thought about exiting and whatnot, and it was really hard. So I compare that to people who are addicts and homeless, as it seems like I was to a point. And the more people bash on it, and they have it. Today I pointed out that to the man that we all have hardships. We all have really low times that periods we've had in our lives, and just be grateful that you didn't end up to be like them. Yes, you made certain choices, but your environment was different. You know, the people around you, possibly you had a support system. Your brain didn't get to certain points that other people's did, and you don't know if your brain went to the places where they had been, if you would choose the same as them. We don't really, we can't place ourselves in situations we have not been in. And if we have been in places somewhat like addicts, or, you know, homeless people that people are calling deadbeats or whatever, it is quite possible that our environment was different, that perhaps we had that support system. Maybe we were raised different. And, you know, we could have had good lives as children, as a lot of them didn't. So there's a lot of people who don't have hope from their childhood, from their teenhood, from, you know, their adulthood, and they don't understand what happiness really is. So they don't think to look for it and to reject those low points. You know, those of us who are lucky to have had, things might be different for us because of that. So I think it's important for everybody to think that not everybody's in the same situation, regardless of if you think you were in the same situation as them. You haven't been. And maybe at one point you did do drugs or whatnot, or, you know, you were becoming an alcoholic and you were able to stop. You haven't been to certain points, and the same thing, yet the environment and everything could be different. So yeah, I think when I spoke to the man, at the end of it, I was like, okay, well, we can't place ourselves in their situations, and we have been at our worst. And at our worst, do you really think that it's going to help when people are bashing you down and calling you names and telling you you're useless, and, you know, you're not worthy of working, and that you're a bum, and, you know, you amount to nothing? That does nothing but worse things for people who are at their lowest. Building people up, I mean, how hard is it to build people up? One good something to say to someone, one good sentence to someone, you know, or some happiness or positivity, or just giving them some kind of love during the day, because that might be the only love that they're getting, and that might mean the world to them. And I think by saying something like that, and he told me I was right, I hope that made him change his mind just a little bit. And I'm just here to ask that maybe, I'm not saying change your mind, but maybe think about it. Just think about it. People need to build each other up. The more we tear people down, the more down they are. They're at their lowest points, okay? I'm not really sure what taking them down more does for them as much as it does for people who feel like they're better than. They're trying to build themselves up, but they're really not. They're tearing people down, and there's not really a positive point in that. And when someone can be so selfish to tear someone down to make themselves feel more adequate, I question their character, and I hope they need to sit down and think and question their own character. And usually when they do, it's because they have a loved one, or they've encountered something that has really hurt them, so they take every situation as a situation they had been in at one point. And that's not really fair to everybody else. So anyway, I felt like sending that out. I am sending so much love to those who are hurting and are in low points. I've been in my own, and they are really extremely hard to get out of. And today it felt really good because there are two people who've known my struggles throughout the years told me today that I'm a warrior and that I'm a fighter, because they said a lot of people couldn't have gone through what I'd gone through and be where I am now. So that makes me feel good. I think when I was at my lowest, that would have also helped then too. So you see someone at their lowest, please help build them up. I mean, it costs you really nothing, a few moments of your time. So sending those people going through hardships love, and those who feel the need to feel adequate bashing them down, I'm sending even more love, because hurt people, you know? Love you.